Hi guys, welcome to VoIP Africa once again. Today I am with one of the most influential students on the University of Ghana campus at the moment, in the person of Felix Ayittah, Governor. And before we dive into what you want to do, I will first of all allow you to introduce yourself. Who is Governor?
Oh, okay. So, yeah, my name is Felix Ayittah, but popularly known as Governor, a final year student in the University of Ghana. The name Governor, because everywhere I go, I like to exude what influence and all that. So, Governor, a lot of people know me as Governor, and when I hear people address me as Governor, I feel that pride to actually cause some change. So that's why maybe a lot of people might get to know that I'm Governor, which they don't even get to know that I'm known as Felix or Ayittah. Yeah. So a lot of people in Kakula will know as the student know me as Governor.
You contested the SRC elections, even though you placed third. What was the motivation for you? What motivated you to take that initiative?
Okay, so as an individual, I mean, having been to the University of Ghana, having been admitted to level 100, I made, a commitment to just stay to my academics, get a GPA of 4.0 if possible, and be a valedictorian and leave the University of Ghana. But over the years, I've realized that the SRC is in a state of comatose. That's not able to solve the very critical issues that the students have faced on campus. And I believe the SRC institution is a very powerful body that if we get innovative people who are very vibrant and proactive, they would be able to carve out what feasible policies, ideas that they can bring on board to help the student fund. So realizing that, I feel that if I can go in there and be able to cause a change, then why don't I vie around for that portfolio? So my motivation has been to get opportunity to be able to address some of the challenges that the University of Ghana students are faced with. Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't, it was unfortunate, let me say, you could not sail through successfully, but you had policies. What becomes of those policies? What becomes of the goodwill you had for the University of Ghana students?
Okay, so it's not always the case that you would have to win an election before you would be able to rule entirely. Sometimes you will not be able to get into office, but the individual who gets into office can actually look at your policies, things that you were bringing on board. Sometimes they can consult you. And as an individual, as I am, the current president, though we have some issues surrounding the whole SRC elections and all that, but who emerges as the person will be sworn in as SRC president, that person can reach out to me because I have policies in there that will solve some of the critical issues that we are facing on campus. And if there's any advice, maybe I can make some comments on issues which I believe they can listen to and interpolate those things in their developmental plans or policies. I think that would be the best way for us to go.
Is the SRC or student politics in the University of Ghana partisan?
Of course, very partisan. And it's very unfortunate that sometimes it's only the actors who are involved who get to know some of the things that goes on in the SRC elections. You cannot win an SRC. Let me be frank. That's the palpable truth. You can't win an SRC election here on campus without being partisan. Forget it.
Okay.
You can't.
So partisanship in student politics. Do you think it is doing us a lot of good, or there are some things that you want us to take a second look at?
I think partisanship and student leadership or politics here on campus has affected grievously our achievement or where we ought to be as students. Because when you look at our dynamics and you look at the things that go on when we are doing partisan student politics, a student may come on board and would have ideas or initiatives he would like to embark on, but due to the political forces, that individual will always like to satisfy the parochial interests of the paymasters, those who did his or her bidding to be able to get into office. So as a result of this, more often than not, they are not able to actually achieve whatever they wanted to achieve. So partisan politics, student politics has done more harm than good to me personally.
What do you think can be done about it?
To be able to solve this particular issue, we need to look at two critical things that I would like to highlight on. One is to arouse the interest of the entire student body in the activities of, SRC elections, let me put it, student politics here on campus.
Yes.
When you're able to arouse the interest of the student in terms of the politics here, SRC elections, GSRC elections, and departmental elections, an individual will get to know that, look, I am a student of the University of Ghana, and I belong to this department, I belong to this association, I belong to this GCR, and there's a need for me to go out there and to make a decision so that the individual will be able to put out things that will favor me or make my life comfortable here. When the individual knows this, okay,
yes,
that person doesn't need to be influenced by an outsider. That on election day, the person needs to see someone who will give him or her some amount of money before he will go out there to go and cast his or her vote. Because these forces that support this candidate, what they do is that they come on with a lot of resources, okay, and to actually do vote buying and other stuff.
That brings me to this point. Is students' politics very expensive?
Very expensive, very expensive. You can't run an election with an empty pocket. You cannot.
It's not about empty pockets. But do you think it is too expensive for students?
I won't say it's expensive because we have actually made it that way.
Good.
Okay.
So we have this same issue at the national level, you know, not just a national level, but I think it's a global problem that politics is very expensive. And that, I think, prevents a whole lot of people who have innovative ideas from venturing into that particular field. What do you think can be done about this? How can we change the story?
Okay, so like I was saying, okay, people are being influenced by money most of the times when they feel that, okay, the individuals in office are not able to achieve what they promised when they were campaigning to occupy that office. So when there is a situation like this, we have something called symbiotic relationship or symbiosis. You scratch my back, I scratch your back.
Okay.
So if I know that, okay, you are going into office not to work in my interest, but for your own parochial interest, then of course I need to get something from you before you go into that office. So to end this, leaders should be very truthful to themselves, very honest with promises that they make to electorate, so that when they get into office, they'll be able to execute, so that the student or the individuals or the citizens will know that, okay, you've been able to do this, and that's the reason why the next time you are contesting, I should be able to come out and vote for you. But if you don't do that, then the next time you come, of course, you have to give me something before it will.
So that when you go and you are chopping meat, I have taken something already.
Absolutely.
So you entered the university in 2018, and over the years, how well has the SRC been able to serve the interests of students?
Okay, so I think when I entered the university, I think I met Dr. Sly.
Yeah.
I think aspiring for news president now, but I don't know, he has withdrawn from the race and all that. Okay, when I got to the university, though, he made some advocacies. I think there were some shadow issues and all that he was able to address. Then there came Isaac Hajiman. Okay, but looking at this administration, then Fiako Into, who acted as SRC president. Okay, looking at these individuals or personalities, I would say that they have been able to do something. If I say they didn't do anything, I think I wouldn't be faithful to myself and even fair to them. Okay, but they have not been able to do something to meet the expectations of the student, what the ordinary student of the University of Ghana are looking for. For instance, when you look at the SRC, okay, the architecture of the SRC, the SRC is mandated to do a whole lot of stuff. Okay, there would be an administration that would say, I'm just donating, let's say, exercise books to the student of the University of Ghana, and that person can also move away and say that I've done something. But what we need to understand is the expectations of the ordinary student. Okay. And we know the very critical issues that students are being faced here on campus, accommodation, which is the number one priority. And over the years, from 2018 up to now, I think nothing has been done with respect to that. Okay, so when you look at the expectations of the student, I think the SRC has not been able, for my 4-year period in the University of Ghana, they've not been able to.
What do you think we should be doing differently?
Okay, so we need an SRC, okay, which would, put up issues, put up what policies that will resonate with the student of the University of Ghana. What are the policies? Like I mentioned, accommodation crisis. It's one thing that any SRC that will be able to boost and say that I have been able to achieve anything should be able to tackle that issue. I think
so the premier university and SRC, our SRC has not been able to boast of maybe helping students in any way when it comes to accommodation. We have not been able to start any project, not to talk of completing it. What do you think has been the problem? What is hindering that project?
Okay, so over the years, there has been an initiative which was titled SRC Hostel. I think anybody who is involved in his leadership roles on campus should be known of that. Okay, but as it stands now, even the project has not commenced, and the information I have at my disposal, though maybe I was misinformed or something, but I'm speaking from information I have at my disposal, is that the funds they have, because a fund was created purposely for that. They are saying that the funds that they have in that will not be able to cater for the construction of the entire hostel. So, but my argument is that, look, you don't need to actually get the total amount of money that will be able to put up the hostel before you start something. Even if you have been able to raise 25% or 10%, you should be able to, start something. Okay, so what we need now is a leader who is willing, committed, knowing that, look, this is the number one priority of our student or my student on campus. So let's start something. Even if I'm not able to finish, let's make it a developmental project that in the next, 4 or 5 years, this is what we want to tackle as SRC, so that when you leave office and the people that you are going to hand over, when they come into office, they will continue with that project.
Aside the fund that was created, how do you think we can raise funds? I think that is the most obvious reasons why we have not been able to start, or the SRC has not been able to accomplish this aim. How do you think we can raise funds to support that project?
Okay, so we can, there has been some argument whether students should be, charged. I think during Fianco's in Tolstein, there was some argument that students should be allowed to pay 100 cedis each, so that they will be able to, accumulate that money to start something. I think that's something we ought to consider, because if you and I are paying 100 cedis, okay, and would be able to get hostels, okay, that can accommodate us, that would be better than us. Individuals engage in bed setting, people are moving out there to go and buy it. But so it's just for us to make sacrifice, okay? We ought to sacrifice, and I think that would be a step in the right direction to allow students to actually contribute to that fund. Okay?
I know that this issue of accommodation, has almost become like a yearly policy for student leaders. But has there been any administration that has taken any steps aside a fund that is created to secure funds from any external body, maybe seek for sponsorships or any other thing to support the project?
As it stands now, and with the information I have, I don't think so. I think that fund was created some years ago, and after that, individuals who come into office don't, seek for any sponsors. If you see them seeking for sponsorship, what they are aimed at using that for is for, SRC week celebrations and all that. But I have not heard, or I have not seen the SRC actually going out and say purposely, I'm going to an institution like Parliament, I'm making a courtesy call to members of Parliament. I want to get some amount of money from them to actually put them together and support the construction of the SRC.
Do you think we lack direction in our SRC when it comes to matters that should be of priority? Do you think we lack direction? Are we doing things that are not, are irrelevant rather than focusing on what the students really need? Is that the case?
To some extent, and that is why you'll see that after elections, if the individuals who are elected, when they get into office, there's one mistake they always do. They don't come back with the students to listen to them, because you might be comfortable somewhere, but the ordinary student are facing a lot of issues. So you need to reach out to them. How can we do this? This is your first priority, then we'll be able to tackle it. But what happens here in the University of Ghana is that after you are elected, you sit somewhere, you take your own decisions, then you are good to go.
what do you think should be the role of students in promoting national development, aside being able to, live up to the expectations of students to serve students' interests? What should be the role of student leaders in promoting national development?
Okay, so I think as students we have, important roles to play. Back in the days, during the, colonialism and all that, we had student leaders, so we had student bodies that were able to, actually support and fight for independence. Yes. That was, I think, the national, the National British West Africa Association, like that, where we had individuals who were studying outside, were able to, come together to be able to, fight for independence, and they were united towards a common goal. Okay, but as the current crop of leaders or student leaders we have, because of the partisan politics and the interest individuals or the actors in that field have, we are not able to come together to actually fight or support one purpose or a common goal, and that serves as another obstacle.
So we are back to partisan politics in student leadership again. You think that is hindering us from maybe living up to our expectations because of the partisanship? We are not able to, focus on what you are supposed to do internally, not to even talk of our role to the nation. What do you think, once again, we can do about this? Well, how can we move away from this? What do you want to tell the ordinary student that is out there, that is being told that if you don't belong to this party on campus, or if you don't do this and do that, you cannot become a leader on on the University of Ghana campus? What do you want to tell those people?
Okay, so there's one basic thing that I want students to understand here on campus, okay? And that is, if you are voting for an individual because he or she belongs to TESCON, TIN, or any other political wing on campus, what you are trying to mean, in essence, is that so far as that person continues to be a member of this, wing or party, you don't care about what that person does in office, because you voted for the person based on that particular reason. So if that person stays to be a member, then you are happy with it. But look, do we have to elect people into office just based on that? Not really.
During the UTAG strike, we saw a lot of students say our SRCs are more or less like extensions of government, and so they are not able to hit hard on the real issues on the ground. Do you think that is true?
To some extent, that would be true, because I made an earlier comment that when students are vying for these portfolios, you have some invisible hands, actors, forces backing them. So when there are issues, sometimes the issues affect the interests of the actors who supported them. Okay, so it becomes very difficult, or it puts them in a position where they will not be able to speak to their issues. So they would rather like to be silent, not to talk about it, because, come on, you're paymaster. You can't go and say something that will tarnish their image or will put a person in a situation where the person will hate you or something. So those people would like to massage their ego and all that.
Are you calling on us to abrogate or to disband all forms of political party activities on campuses?
Not really. Politics is different from partisan politics. Okay, now
what I'm talking about is this: 10 TESCON. Let's be straight. 10 TESCON, and the impact they are having on students' leadership that you have talked about. Do you think that it is high time we stopped, or it is good that we move away from those associations? Should we move away from them? What is the way forward? I just want to know.
I don't think we should move away from them or even expand them on campus. The activities come to a halt and all that, because look, those institutions, or fraternities, provide some grounds for individuals to learn. Okay, people are able to take out leadership skills, who are able to learn from those who have actually, gained enough knowledge in that area. So it wouldn't be very good, or it wouldn't be prudent or relevant for us to say that, because they go to the extent of sometimes influencing elections and doing certain stuff to disband them or bring their activities to a halt. The only thing we have to do now is to look at different perspectives. Okay, as politics is an association, you are going into contest. It's not a matter of life and death, but you need individuals who will be able to actually man the SRC or man an institution that will solve the plight of the student. So in doing so, it shouldn't be that there were some instances where one fraternity, okay, could go and sit somewhere and cook the whole lot of stuff. Just at the national level, very diabolic schemes and all that, just to win elections on campus. And those are the dynamics that we ought to change, but not necessarily to disband them or prevent them from.
We saw recently, you sought to make some changes or amendments to. So we saw recently, you made some proposals for amending the SRC constitution. What does that entail?
Okay, so the SRC established for 3 organs, okay? Legislature, judiciary, and the executive. And just at the national level, where we have the executive, judiciary, and the legislature. That's the same thing we have here in the University of Ghana, SRC. Okay, and there's a famous principle known as the principle of separation of powers. Okay, where the 3 arms of government must work independently of each other in terms of functions and personnel. But in contemporary times, okay, practicing that is very difficult. Okay, making that practical is difficult. That's why you can see that here in Ghana we have members of parliament who are what? Ministers. Which means that they belong to what? 2 arms of what? Arm of government. That's the executive and the legislature. Okay, but there shouldn't be a case where we would have the chief executive officer, let's say the president of the Republic of Ghana, being a parliamentarian.
Okay,
we shouldn't get to that place. But here in the University of Ghana, we have a phenomenon where that's the provision in the SRC constitution. The elected officers, that's the president, vice president, the general secretary, and the treasurer, are members of the General Assembly, which serves as what? The legislative arm of the SRC. And the most, one that baffles my mind, that's shocking, is to see that when it comes to the formation of a quorum, okay, the elected executive officer, that's the president and the vice president, are so much important in that regard. Okay, so when the president, let's say all members of the General Assembly are present, and the president or the vice president are not present, legally, the GA cannot proceed to transact any business, which is very bad. Okay, so if there's an issue where the president or the vice president, they know that this would be against their interest, it's not going to favor them, then they will not show up, and that's why you cannot transact any legal business because they are needed. Their presence are needed. So you want us to change that story? Is that it? Of course.
I read the proposal, and in the end, you said what you are looking for basically is that their voting rights should be taken away, but then they can still be members of the General Assembly. Don't you think that, if we are doing it, we should do it completely, just like the national level, where the president has nothing to do with the legislature? Maybe it's only important on occasions where he is being called to come and present maybe State of the Nation's address or something. Shouldn't that be the case?
Okay, so we may have different views on this, and that's why, as a proposal, and students can come out with their view, just as you've said. It's something we can consider and say, okay, let's expand them outrightly, that they cannot be members of the General Assembly. Okay. But when there's a proceeding, they can pass by, they can go there and contribute on the floor, and they wouldn't have that right to vote. Okay. But the reason why I thought it was that it should be this way, where they would be members and would not having voting right, is because these students, leadership or student politics here, and they need to actually participate, to be present, to know how some of these things are going. Okay, so if you allow them to be members, then that would enable them to be present there, to follow issues and all that. Sometimes the student can be very diabolic. Okay, some would go there and go and look at things that are happening and will not brief the president or the vice president, and they will not be aware, and this will affect their work. So should actually support them. I think they should be there, being members, to look at what is going on, contribute, but without voting rights.
Okay.
That's why I made that proposal.
That's fine. What keeps you going as a governor? What keeps you going?
Okay, so as an individual, I believe that where there is a field opportunity, or where you are not able to, actually meet or achieve your goal, that opens another door for you as an individual.
Okay.
It's not always about winning.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's about the experience you get. And I believe that anything is possible. Okay, and you need to go through some challenges. So I have obstacles, impediments, and all that, hurdles, but I know that surely I shall get there, and that has been my motivation.
Well, last question, but very important. What's the name of your girlfriend?
Oh, wow. Walking through campus and all that, sometimes I've come across this question several times, especially for my friends and all that. Okay, and I tell people that I don't have a girlfriend. People don't want to believe, so I don't have a girlfriend. I'm a single guy.
How does it feel to have almost all the students of the University of Ghana know you? So everywhere you pass, and they shout your name, they wave at you, and all that. How does that feel?
Okay, it feels good. It feels so good to thank a lot of people. Know you and all that. But there's one important thing. You should be able to influence the people to ensure that the right thing is done. So as an individual as I am, okay, I went into an election, I've lost. Okay, that doesn't mean that I should fold my arms and just look at the SRC like that. Then it means that I'm being selfish. In the first place, I didn't want to serve, okay? Because serving doesn't mean always being there leading, okay? Sometimes you need to be a backbencher and, punch holes in some of the things that are going on. And those who are in charge or are leading the front to be able to pick one or two things, okay? So that's what I think.
Okay. Right, so that was Governor Felix Ayittah, right? Good. He was a contestant in the just ended SRC elections, and he placed third. He's a very influential guy. If you need anything, can they reach out to you? Maybe students want to reach out to you for help. They want to connect with you. How do they get to do that?
Of course, I'm available, and I think my number is on my contact just everywhere. So you can't get in touch.
Can they follow you on social media?
Sure. So Facebook, Governor Felix Kojo, that's my Facebook name.
Okay.
When you go to Twitter, Governor Kojo, that's my @Governor Kojo. That's my username on Twitter. So you can follow me. My contact, that's everywhere. You'll be able to get it.
Right. That was a very insightful conversation we had, and thank you very much for staying up to the end. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. And we are also opening for membership. If you want to join VoIP Africa, if you want to be part of this great and bright dream of transforming the African continent and leadership at all levels in our lives, then I think this is a very good opportunity for you. So very soon you get the opportunity to join, and we make impact together. Thank you very much for watching once again. Bye.